Hello. I am going to talk to you today about the analogues and the epimers and isomers and isoprenoids, the different things that the gut bacteria use to attack the body of mankind to cause us to age. They do it also through our lungs. They do it in the blood. They do it landing on our skin. They do everything they can to age mankind. Now, I'm going to try not to be quite as intense today. I had a gentleman contact me, a man I respect. He contacts me often with constructive criticism and suggestions and giving me ideas on how maybe I can proceed with my cure. So I have great respect for this man, but he tells me that I need to have more joy, that I need to make my presentations more joyful. Now, I have videos that's that's on my Adam and Eve Now in Aging Facebook page. I have a video on there of me, very joyful, very calm, explaining that I found the causes and the cure for aging, and that I look for partners and investors and promoters and volunteers, just whatever I can locate to help me now end this pandemic plague we have had to call aging, when all reality it has been us being decomposed while we live. That is why I named this pandemic plague that all eukaryotic cells, biocells, each individual cell on Earth has a disease that I call the senesonic and the senzonic plague, due to the many acids made by the disease, and many of them science does not even realize that are killing us, that are aging us. As you see, when we're born, we raise up strong. We're able to fight against these poisons, fight against this atmosphere, this environment of Earth that we have to live in, that the entire Earth is permeated, infected, that all these pathogens are ubiquitous on Earth, that are killing us. They're in everything. They're in everything we eat, everything we drink, everything we touch, the air we breathe. But we have a cure. But I still have people debate me about the fact that we have a pandemic plague. I contacted WHO, the World Health Organization, now for many years. Now they're starting to hear from many other people, and they have been hearing from many other people down through the years. Great men, Isla Stabler, great men such as Dr. Aubrey de Grey, other people around the earth that I never heard of until I was pleasantly surprised to find them on social media and now in the news. But I have been contacting WHO and telling them we have a pandemic plague. We have a massive disease. I've contacted the federal government. I've contacted the NIH. I've contacted the universities around America. I've contacted different scientific foundations. I have contacted great men and men that are just down the street from my house. Everybody I can make contact with and explain to them that we have a disease, so people can get the mindset to understand when you know you have a disease and you know what causes it, you can find a cure. And I found a cure, and it's very extensive, very complicated, simple yet complicated to implement, because it takes much money, much land, many other things. But let's talk about the analogues. The analogues of aging and death. Riboflavin has an analog made by gut bacteria, made by bacteria that's in the air and in the soil of Earth. It permeates the Earth, this microbe does, but it makes an analog of riboflavin called roseoflavin. Roseoflavin sounds innocent enough. They literally call the microbe that makes this non-pathogenic, because they say it doesn't hurt mankind, but it makes things that kills bacteria, other enemies it has on Earth. This microbe makes a substance, roseoflavin, that kills other microbes. Here's the unusual thing. As I've explained in other videos, Plato stated the greatest thing mankind can ever undertake and ever think about is what is mankind? What is womankind? What is mankind? Well, when you look in science, science tells us immediately that we are microbes. Our body is made up by trillions of eukaryotic microbes. They're cells. They have a membrane and they have all the organelles of many of the bacteria and such, but we are unique. We are the eukaryotic cells of life. The prokaryotic and some of the eukaryotic life forms, such as yeast, do not like the eukaryotic cell of mankind, and they kill us today long. So, this microbe that they say is non-pathogenic makes rosoflavin. Now, this is the amazing thing. I decided to start looking up analogs to the vitamins, because I've explained to everyone that these mini vitamins, vitamin Ks, the vitamin K7, 11, vitamin K6, some of the vitamin K4, some of the vitamin K1 even, is made by bacteria and plants on this earth that it affects mankind in a very negative way. It is an analog of nutrients that we need. It's a near perfect structure of the nutrients we need, but it has a few things added to it, and it has a few different moieties that when they break down into different molecules. It's just, it's a massive attack we're receiving from hundreds of directions due to the many microbes of Earth. But again, let's talk about rosoflavin. I was looking for analogs, and I decided to look up riboflavin again. And I've looked up riboflavin, and there will be hundreds of articles come up about riboflavin. I said, well, let me just get some images because I'm trying to develop a video to where I show people how they are closely designed chemicals, but they are different in bad ways. In certain ways, they are different. But I stumbled across rosoflavin. I had heard of it before, but I, never looked into it. I decided, I'll just skim on by that. But I looked, and then I noticed that what I was actually looking for was the analogs made by bacteria was stated in a research paper, and they stated in that exact fashion. The analog of riboflavin, rosoflavin, is broken down in the human body. Goes through the same pathway as the riboflavin, goes through all the processes of the human body. And these wise men that are doing this research paper, they are investigating this, and they're saying, you know what, this ain't right somehow. We want to look at this, and I was very impressed by these men. That's the tragic thing about science. That is me examining people centuries back, decades back, and you'll find those men setting off to the side in scientific data, and they have the right idea, but not a long enough life to implement their idea, or not enough people to become interested, and not enough money, not enough resources. But when you see those men, it hurts me badly. This shows me, like I tell everyone, we could have ended this disease over 2 centuries ago. There's been great men on the trail of the causes of aging and death, the offenders of life, which is the bacteria of Earth, the gram-negative, gram-positive, the yeast toxins, the molds, everything such as that is against mankind, against the eukaryotic cell of mankind. But I see those men, and it nearly brings me to tears. I have to really fight them back. I've seen men that were on the trail of my Geribify, my cure. They were thinking in the same terms as me, but then they died. One man I stumbled across, I've got his links somewhere. I've got hundreds of links that I saved, trying to keep from having to research over and over again the same issues. So I keep links all the time. But this one gentleman, his name escapes me right now, the man was thinking about plants, different things that were causing mankind to get sick. And he said, well, maybe if we cure them in this fashion, and then he died at the age of 56 of a heart attack. But he was on the trail. You look in the vastness, the vortex, which is scientific data, that now this day and time even reaches into the universe, where mankind is studying microbes on Mars, bringing bacteria out into space and watching them grow into space. This vortex of data now reaches deep into space. Kepler, all these different things, the Hubble telescope, the data of mankind just piles up, keeps swirling. But you find people, if they had come together in their generation, they would have ended aging and death for mankind. Now, if all the other animals, sadly, they can't figure out a way to cure themselves, that's a sad thing. But mankind has science, has a major attitude and character that says if something attacks me, I develop an offensive and I attack it in return and I keep it from killing me, and that is our science. So what we're looking at here again is riboflavin. Rosoflavin, a poison to bacteria, a poison to other microbes, comes into the human body, enters the pathway, the major pathway of the riboflavin, which finally breaks down into ribose, all these things, and becomes part of the very genome, the genes, the DNA, the RNA of mankind. That is being down into the atomic and even subatomic levels of life and death, fighting it out. As I started on my main website, I told people long ago, I said, this battle of life and death began in the primordial soup, and it begins and still is fought this day on the atomic and the subatomic level of existence. I've had men tell me to prove it to them when I do throughout my sites, and as I'm doing here today, this brings us down riboflavin, rosoflavin. These analogues bring us down into the atomic and then the subatomic levels of existence on Earth, which is the life forms of animal, plant, and mankind. But these analogues are different for a reason. As I state, rosoflavin kills microbes in the soil, kills them in the human body, because they're kind of jealous of other microbes, let's say. They want to be the only one existing in their immediate vicinity. So they make rosoflavin to enter the other life forms and kill them. But it's non-pathogenic. To microbes, it's deadly. But to this huge body called mankind, it's non-pathogenic. What did I just tell you moments ago? Plato said, find out what man is, and you've done the greatest thing. Science. Science has found out what mankind is. Mankind is a conglomerate of trillions of microbes. Built us. As science has found, they go down into the very beginnings of life, and they find that there's just a few stem cells take off and start building us, and they are our body this day. Those stem cells that they examined became our body today. We are like a strain of a microbe that is built in this housing, this sanctuary, this environment that our body is, this structure, this human body is built by microbes, and this rosoflavin is deadly to microbes. The cells in our body, like Yale University has just discovered, I meant to put them up here, I'm glad I thought of it. Yale University, I should have written up here somewhere. But Yale University just made a discovery that proves many men on this earth. Dr. Aubrey de Grey has proven the man can enter any room and he can't be wrong, because Dr. Aubrey de Grey broke down all the ways the cell is deteriorating and the cell is being decomposed. He sees all the damages being caused by something. He knows that there's pathogens involved. He knows there's debris from other pathogens involved. He knows there's chemicals from the foods we eat. He knows there's chemicals from our environment. He can't walk in a room and be wrong. But Yale University just proved Dr. de Grey, and has proven me, as I told him, this is on the atomic, the subatomic level. And I told him all cells are dying because there's things in our cells that are killing us. And I had people laugh at me, tell me, no, go on, you're crazy. So what do you mean I'm crazy? I'm telling you, there's stuff on the atomic and the subatomic level that is killing us. So that's how the battle of life against death began in the primordial soup, was on the atomic and subatomic level. And then these microbes and these energies began to build single cells, and then they began to build life forms from these single cells, and voila, here is mankind. But they laughed at me and said, that's impossible. We are microbes. Yale University just discovered with a new microscope and a different lighting source than science is normally used, they discovered over 400 new enzymes and proteins and peptides that are in the midst of the cells of the human body. And all the organ cells, kidneys cells, the bone cells, all these things have another 400 and more particles floating around inside of them that science had not seen. Science has always just said, well, that's the cytoplasm. Well, that's the color of the cytoplasm. It's almost clear. It's cytoplasm. It's close to being clear. So that's just like a liquid, a water. Let's call it water. And I would tell them, no, there's things in there. I'm telling you, there's poisons in there killing us. And science has always known about the endotoxins of the gram-negative bacteria and the gram-positive bacteria, the exotoxins, the endotoxins, the bacteriocins made to kill microbes. We, again, are microbes. And they send these things into us. And science knows that our cells die each day. Our cells dying, you can look at literally like one of our cells meeting in mortal combat against one of the gram-negative or gram-positive or one of the yeast cells. Suddenly they're face to face, and suddenly that horrible being, that prokaryotic bacteria or that virus or that yeast cell suddenly hits our eukaryotic cell with toxins and poisons. And science watches this under microscopes, and they see that when these toxins are hit other bacteria under microscopes, another bacteria killing another bacteria, it takes the one that's been infected and poisoned, takes it 20 minutes to die. Well, mankind knows that we have cells that are dying by the hour. Some of our cells take days to die. Some of our cells in our body, different types, they take only 1 day, 1 hour, some of them. That is because they were face to face in mortal combat against life against death. A prokaryotic bacteria face to face against a eukaryotic bacteria. And they're shooting us from our gut. They're sending in toxins from our gut. They're sending it in from our blood. And then when that cell dies, that prokaryotic cell says, there, I killed it. I killed that microbe that I want to destroy. I decomposed it. I caused it to lysis and be dead. I am victorious over that one eukaryotic cell. We are microbes. Rosoflavin is in the chain of our very existence. It is an analog of riboflavin. Now we have epimers and analogues. There are so many different types of vitamin K. Some of them are just epimers, where they only have one atom that has different elements connected to it differently than the other vitamin K. Just enough to get in there and gum up the works. Just enough to get in there and begin the destruction. Every one of the vitamins made by the bacteria is destructive to mankind. It is an analog, an epimer, a imposter to come into the body and destroy us. Just as rosoflavin is used by the mycobacteria that I'm speaking of. I'm trying to come up with his name, but I wrote it down here, but I will not look for it. It makes the rosoflavin, and the rosoflavin kills our cells. It gets in there, becomes part of the cell seems to be working okay, then suddenly it has to die because of the many toxins, and the toxins are coming in by the busload, now proven by Yale University and the new microscope, and proven by Dr. Aubrey de Grey, and proven by Adam and Eve, data word research. We have a massive, massive infection that is causing us to age. It is a pandemic plague. How many viruses, how many bacteria, how many molds and yeast, how many of these things have to attack us and be in us, attacking us the day long, before we look in the mirror and say, I've got an infection. I am infected. I have an infestation. We're being killed by analogues, epimers. We're being killed by bacteriocins, by these toxins, these venoms made by the gut bacteria. Science has proven that snake venom and spider venoms are very much in characteristics of the bacteriocins. You could call them analogues of bacteriocins. And they use them to bite and put a massive injection of these poisons in one area of the body that hits the bloodstream and kills us. So analogues to bacteriocins, you can point to certain venoms of spiders, snakes, lizards on planet Earth, even fish in the ocean. You can find fish in the ocean that have poisons that are analogues to the bacteriocins that are in our gut, being made and sent into the body of mankind all day long. So what are we doing? We're dying. We're aging. We're being decomposed as we live. These things become the massive amount of our structure finally after 5 decades, 6 decades. Our entire structure is made not of the nutrients we need from nature. It's the moieties and the different things made by the bacteria that are now the structure of our body, and our body begins to decay and drop. The human cell has become a mutant itself. They talk about the mutation of genes. Our human cells begin to mutate because they're made, the majority, with these chemicals that are sent in by the bacteria. The cells dying daily much more quickly, and the human body starts to bend over and starts to decay, to decompose while we live. The skin breaking down on our body if we're 90. Our skin breaking down on our body if we're 100. Our skin breaking down on our body if we're 70, many of us. Our muscles breaking down. They can't replace the muscle cells like they once did. Breaking down due to all of the epimers, the analogues, the isoprenoids of the bacteria. Some of the bacterial isoprenoids have chained together hundreds of isoprene units, brought them together and made a massive peptide that is destroying us from within. We are under a massive attack. We have a massive infection. I had a friend of mine, he contacted me and told me, be joyful. I am joyful in the fact that I believe right now, this day, we're going to end aging because we've had the capability of curing ourselves now for over 2 centuries. My Gerivify algorithm will cure the body of mankind, will cure the cells of mankind. Instead of our cells dying every hour, it will take them years to die. The same cell feeding and being prosperous from the proper nutrients, and due to the medicinal serum elixir, the Gerivify serum elixir, which goes into the body of mankind and fights the battle of life against aging and death for the human body. I look for men and women to be partners with, to be investors with me, to be promoters, to volunteer, to join me in this epic adventure of this era being the era that now ends the pandemic, clandestine, secretive, infectious plague I have named the Senesonic and the Senzonic plague due to the massive amount of amino acid formulas that have been made to attack mankind. Onic, the Senzonic plague, due to the huge amount of acids sent into the human body. My name is Rodney Berry. Let me be joyful in saying, I have found the cure. I have found the causes and the cure. The great thing called science has found the causes and the cure. I did not find these alone. Without the massive body of science, I am useless. Without the massive organizations that's been around for centuries, such as Princeton, such as Cambridge, such as the new foundations, the new organizations, all these people that have gathered now for centuries, for many centuries, I would be useless without them. The body of science has cured the disease mankind calls aging and death. Amazing. I've written it. I've posted it. I've made posts on my main sites. I've emailed it out. I've called people on the phone. I've told them science has done it. Even one of my email addresses states it. I state in the email address, science now ends aging. The massive body of science has now given us the capability again in this era to now end the pandemic plague that we have that decomposes us while we live, that I call the Sensonic plague, and mankind has sadly had to call aging and death. My name is Rodney Berry. Please join me in this epic adventure. Have a good day.